wall according to the place by previous instruction. The order has gone forth. Each workman obeys the command. Thousands upon thousands, millions and millions hear and obey this fiat. Go and labor day and night and day, until this part is completed, inspected, and received. A part of the constructing force is engaged in repairing all waste and losses that occurred during the years of mortal life. Nor do they forget the command of cleanliness, which is the reverse of construction, to carry away all worn fragments of this wonderful part of the machine. While they are adjusting it to its natural place in the bone, other divisions and commands are fulfilling the order of a like femur to be its helpmate. Being now held in place to the body and accepted as finished, they wait with anxiety and another higher order. Arise, move, and forever house and care for the great indweller, the spirit of man, the essence and secret of God, the unsolved problem of eternity. The solvent powers of life dissolve all fluids and solids from blood to bone. The powers of lymph are not known. A quantity of blood may be thrown from a ruptured vein or artery and form a large tumefaction of all the parts, causing a temporary suspension of vital forces thereunto belonging. Without a previous provision to remove this accumulation, nature will be forced to come to a halt and behold the ruins. By reason, we arrive at the conclusion that the duties of nature are perpetual labor through the vast cycles of eternity, conducted by the skillful plans of that principle of mind commonly known as God, which has the power to transpose and transform all substances, uniting them in such proportions and endowing them with such qualities and additions as will make perfect work. To dissolve bones by the sole penetrating force or action of an acid with equally compounded forces commonly known as alkalis, proceed to the duties of dissolving albuminous and fibrinous substances. On this foundation, we are warranted to conclude that nature at will can and does produce their solvents, which may be necessary to melt down deposits of fiber, bone, or any fluid or solid found in the human body. If we grant this law, we must acknowledge an infinite and perfect power to plan and execute its designs, compounding and creating any and all kinds of chemical substances to dissolve to the lowest order of fluids, which approach very closely to the gaseous conditions of solids, previous to applying the renovating forces which must come in due time and carry away all dead, useless, and obstructing deposits previous to inviting the corpuscles of construction to take possession. Direct and reconstruct blood vessels, nerves, muscles, membranes, ligaments, skin, and bone with all their forms, that life may have peaceful and harmonious possession, and enter anew the field of action and proceed to execute its work without the interference of the inharmonies just disposed of. Anxious nature stands fully armed and equipped and more than willing to execute all duties devolving upon her, knowing at the same time that obedience to these exacting laws is all that is known or accredited to them as success. The last rebellious or unwilling servant may be the beginning of the downfall of the whole army. Let your eyes be a microscope of the greatest known power. Let your mind penetrate to the remotest period of thought by the telescope of reason. So the busy mind of God, rejoicing at the beautiful work of his machinery, cutting and designing forms for fowls of the air and fish of the sea. Thus we are admonished to allow no opportunity to pass by of remembering the great injunction. Despise not the day of small things. I was without beginning of days or end of time, eternally the same law. My greatest stones from foundation to dome are atoms and all superstructures wherein life prevails, animals, fish, and fowls, angels, and worlds, and are atoms of which you are composed. They are associated millions which complete worlds of the greatest magnitude, without which the eye that beholdeth that same could not behold their beauties. Therefore be kind in thought to the atoms of life, or in death ye will be borne to the grave by the beasts of burden who carry nothing to the tombs but the bodies of heedless stupidity, that mourners being the asses who cry and bray over the loss of their dear brother. What is the object of moving bones, muscles, and ligaments, which are suspending the powers of the nerves and so on? A very common answer is to loosen up all spaces through which nerves, veins, and arteries convey elements of life and motion. If that be your answer, then you have fallen far short of an answer that is based on a knowledge of the basic principles of life and beings, in its methods of preparing to repair some part, organ, limb, or the whole system. If an overaccumulation should appear and obstruct the process of life to annoy the normal harmony to such measure as to produce unrest or disease, would you or I be satisfied to know that we had simply given the sufferer a great shaking up, had pulled the arms, legs, feet, hands, back, thumbs, fingers, taken a cob or a rough hand, kneaded the chest, limbs, abdomen, as we have done and do so many times a day or week? No, we would renovate first by lymph, giving it time to do its work of atomizing all crudities first. Then we can expect to see the effect of growing processes as a natural result. Let us reason with a faith that nature does not know how to get blood away from the blackened eyes of the pugilist. The blood is spilt from broken veins in spaces around. It is out of veins and arteries both. Now, if you notice, nature throws in lymph and other fluids. You soon see blood change from a black clot to a fluid condition and grow thinner each day until all has disappeared, and the face and skin go back to their normal condition and appearance. If you can and do reason, you must know that nature has a solvent of all pluses that appear as lumps or thickened places on muscles, skin, or glands. The same law in stiff joints and the deposits around muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Then we change a position of a bone, muscle, or ligament to give freedom of fluids with the purpose first to dissolve and carry away all detained matter and hindering substances, that nature can build anew the depleted surroundings. Beginning with lymph and finishing with fibrin and albumin, nature prepares and bridges each step and never fails to show success at the end of each effort. We must know, if we do not succeed as healers, that normal does not simply mean to place bones in a normal position, that muscles and ligaments may play in their allotted places and can act with freedom at all times. But beyond all this lies a still greater question to solve, which is how and when to apply the chemicals of life as nature designs they shall be. And if life be aided in the process of renovating all hindrances to health, just what power to apply to call forth lymph, fibrin, albumin, uric acid, muriatic, or any fluid from the great chemical laboratory of man's machinery that has within itself all qualities and never fails to have some in the grand show-up when wisely called on to do so from the outer skin to the center of the great all of man and life in all nature.